reaching out. I call your name, but you're not around. I say your name, but you're not around. I need ya, I need ya, I need you right now. Yeah, I need you right now. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. I think I'm losing my mind now. It's in my head, darling, I hope that you'll be here when I need you the most. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, down, down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, down, down. Running out of time. I really thought you were on my side, but now there's nobody by my side. I need ya, I need ya, I need you right now. Yeah, I need you right now. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. I think I'm losing my mind now. It's in my head, darling, I hope that you'll be here when I need you the most. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, down, down. Don't let me down, down, down. Don't let me down, down, down. Don't let me down, don't let me down, down, down. Oh, I think I'm losing my mind now, yeah. Oh, I think I'm losing my mind now, yeah. I need ya, I need you right now. Yeah, I need you right now. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. I think I'm losing my mind now. It's in my head, darling, I hope that you'll be here when I need you the most. So don't let me, don't let me, don't let me down. Don't let me down. Yeah, don't let me down. Yeah, don't let me down. Don't let me down. So don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, down, down.
Whoa, hey, whoa. I've been waiting on the sunset, bills on my mindset. I can't deny it, getting higher, higher than my income. Income's breadcrumbs. I've been trying to survive. The glow that the sun gets right around sunset helps me realize that this is just a journey. Drop your worries, you are gonna turn out fine. Oh, you turn out fine. Fine, oh, you turn out fine. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, to remember sometimes, but you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey, 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 hey. I got my hands in my pockets, kicking these rocks. It's kinda hard to watch this life go by. I'm buying into skeptics, skeptics mess with the confidence in my eyes. I'm seeing all the angles, thoughts get tangled. I start to compromise my life and my purpose. Is it all worth it? Am I gonna turn out fine? Oh, you turn out fine. Fine, oh, you turn out fine. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, to remember sometimes, but you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey, 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 hey. your head down, hey, and keep your head up. And you can let your head down, and keep your head up. And you can let your head down, and keep your head up. And you can let your head down. Sing, oh, no, 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 no. Well, I came home like a stone, and I fell heavy into your arms. These days of dark, which we've known, will blow away with this new sun. But I'll kneel down, wait for now. And I'll kneel down, know my ground. And I will wait for you. And I will wait for you. So break my step and relent. Well, you forgave, and I won't forget. Know what we've seen, and him with less. Now in some way, shape the excess. 'Cause I will wait for you. And I will wait for you. And I will wait for you. And I will wait for you. Now I'll be old as well as strong, and use my head alongside my heart. So tame my flesh and fix my eyes. A tethered mind, freed from the lies. And I'll kneel down, wait for now. I'll kneel down, know my ground.
first saw you, I close my eyes and the flashback starts. I'm standing there on a balcony in summer air. See the lights, see the party, the ball gowns. See you make your way through the crowd and say hello. Little did I know that you were Romeo, you were throwing pebbles, and my daddy said stay away from Juliet. And I was crying on the staircase, begging you please don't go. And I said, Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting, all there's left to do is run. You'll be the prince and I'll be the princess. It's a love story, baby, just say yes. So I sneak out to the garden to see you. We keep quiet 'cause we're dead if they knew. So close your eyes, escape this town for a little while. 'Cause you were Romeo, I was a scarlet letter, and my daddy said stay away from Juliet. But you were everything to me, I was begging you please don't go. And I said, Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting, all there's left to do is run. You'll be the prince and I'll be the princess. It's a love story, baby, just say yes. Romeo, save me, they're trying to tell me how to feel. This love is difficult, but it's a real. Don't be afraid, we'll make it out of this mess. It's a love story, baby, just say yes. I got tired of waiting, wondering if you were ever coming around. My faith in you was fading when I met you on the outskirts of town. And I said, Romeo, save me, I've been feeling so alone. I keep waiting for you, but you never come. Is this in my head? I don't know what to think. He knelt to the ground and pulled out a ring and said, marry me, Juliet, you never have to be alone. I love you and that's all I really know. I talked to your dad, go pick out a white dress. It's a love story, baby, just say yes. We were both young when I first saw you.
I was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. All my friends are turning green. Yeah, the magician's assistant in their dream. Oh, and they come unstuck. Lady, running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, and I got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong.
What's up, everyone? Here we are, virtual life night. What's going on? We're all sitting at home on our computers, on our phones. And it's a little bit crazy, but here we are. We're going to do our best to continue to have youth ministry, to continue to have that community. I know you guys are already destroying each other on the comments. Super funny, not really. But we're going to try to continue that community, continue just to learn more about our faith, to continue to pray, to continue to grow. Even in this time of quarantine, in this time of social distancing, that's the proper terminology. I hope you guys are still alive. I hope none of you have corona. Maybe you do. I don't know. That's fine with me if you do. Just stay away from me for a couple weeks or months or years. But here we are. We're going to do life nights over YouTube for the next couple weeks. You got to look at my face, and you don't really have a choice. Well, I guess you could close YouTube. But anyway, here we are. Also, just a few practical tips as we begin. If you see me looking this way, this is where the iPad is that I'm controlling everything with. So it's not like I have snacks over here that I'm going to eat or anything like that. But when I'm changing around with things, it's going to be over there on the iPad. The other thing is, you guys, I can see your comments, but there's like a 30-second lag between when I talk live in person versus when it gets pushed out to YouTube versus when you guys send a comment back in. So if you're like, Tim, that was a silly thing to say, it's going to be really awkward because I'm going to have no idea what you're talking about. So I love this because you guys can't heckle me and you guys can't call me out for being a loser, which I'm not at all. Please. Anyway, okay, so here we are. So our plan for tonight, our topic for tonight is broken. It actually comes from last week's topic, what we were going to do for Luke 18, Reloaded, when we canceled at 6:53 right before the night was supposed to begin. So we're going to talk about being broken. We're going to have some time for you guys to do some reflection journaling. So what I would recommend is right now, you'll have some time later. But the idea is throughout these weeks, since we're not going to be able to go in small group on Sunday nights, for you guys to maybe keep a journal or some type of consistent note-taking system for you guys to do your reflection questions with. Because it's going to be like small group, except you're going to be reflecting on your own. So, that's kind of my challenge is maybe go out, or use a school journal that you don't have to use anymore because, school's over. Anyway, that would be my challenge. Get a journal, get a pen, maybe make every Sunday at 7:30 kind of a particular time. Maybe don't just be sitting on your couch watching, go to your room, close the door, put in headphones, I don't know, but make it a little bit different than just watching Netflix like you've been doing the other 12 hours of the day. So those are kind of my challenges. Kind of have a place to do this, make it particular, and then have a journal or pens and paper for you guys to consistently take notes. And not take notes on the talks, but to take reflection question notes. Because I think it's always cool when we do reflection journaling to be able to look back and be like, wow, this is how I've grown over the last couple weeks. So those are my couple of challenges for you guys before we begin. I would say, are there any questions? But I can't hear you. You can only hear me. This is a golden opportunity for me. I love this. I get to do a bunch of technology things, and I don't have to see you guys, which I'm glad because, honestly, Katie Leaker probably has coronavirus. She was just on a road trip to Florida. Stay away from Katie Leaker. That's my tip. All right. We're going to move into the talk for tonight, okay? And like I said, the talk for tonight is going to be on the topic of broken. And we picked it last week thinking we're going to talk about how maybe our hearts have been broken or wounded, or maybe some of the struggles we've had since going on Luke 18 last October, right? That was kind of our thoughts for that. But it actually came to be a beautiful topic for this week, in the week of self-isolation, in this week of quarantine that is only going to turn into many, many more weeks. So I think it's a great topic to start off with, is to talk about our brokenness and to talk about how Jesus is there in our brokenness. So we're going to move into that portion of the night for the talk. So let's pretend we're gonna go scenario here. You guys bought something off Amazon that you really need for your self-isolation, your quarantine, social distancing, whatever you want to call it. Say it's a puzzle, a new video game. I use those two examples because Leanne and I have recently bought puzzles and new video games to play during this quarantine. You buy it off Amazon, and it's supposed to get here in 2 days or 4 days, however long. And so you're like waiting, right? You're waiting in anticipation. You're really looking forward to it. Cannot wait. And it's supposed to get here today, right? Today's the day it's supposed to get here. It says out for delivery. So like every 17 seconds, you're refreshing that page on Amazon under your orders, and you're like, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? And you're like slowly losing hope, but you want it so bad. So you're like, you're ready to like track down that Amazon Prime delivery truck, and you're ready to just take it over, rate it, find your package, and be like, thanks, driver, you can continue with your route, right? You just want it so bad. And then finally, one time you hit refresh on that page, that My Orders page, and boom, it says delivered. And you're like, what the heck, man? When did it get here? 3 minutes ago. You rush out to the front door. Boom, you get your package. You're so excited. You call your family, and oh, I got my new puzzle. I got my new video game. I got my new book, blah, 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 shirt, blah. I don't know what it is, right? But we've all been there where we're just like waiting. It finally gets here, and we're so excited, right? Somewhat, we can relate to that with a little bit of a movie clip, right? We can relate to that in this scene from A Christmas Story.
It must be Italian.
Well, I think that says fragile, honey.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Jeez, I really did a job on this, you know? No, here, I'll poke it, eh? Harry! There could be anything in there. Gee.
Maybe they forgot.
Well, it's in there. It's got to be in there. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Would you look at that? Would you look at that?
What is it?
Well, it's a leg.
But what is it?
Well, it's a leg, you know, like in a statue.
Statue?
Yeah.
Boom, there we are. Maybe you were like the dad in The Christmas Story that he gets his gift and you're hype. You're not really even sure what it is. It's a leg, but you're excited. And this gift is everything, man. I mean, like, you tell your friends about it. You post Instagram stories about it. You put it on Snapchat stories, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how you kids communicate these days, but you're so hype, right? You love this gift, right? It's everything for you. We've all been there. We all get something that we really, really like, and we tell our friends about it, and we share it on the internet, and we're like, man, this is awesome. This is awesome. It's really cool. I want you to know about it. But sometimes that gift we got, a few weeks later, something happens, time goes by, and it breaks. Okay? It was an accident, but it breaks. Okay? And maybe it's something like this.
You platypus nutcracker!
What happened next was a family controversy for years.
Lord Mundang Noodle, you shut-and-shifter pacifier! You snort hunger, lay-monger, snacker-shell cocker!
And with lotions of love,
What was that? What happened? What happened? What broke?
I don't know what happened. I was watering my plant and I broke your lamp.
Did you touch that? You were always jealous of this lamp.
Jealous of a plastic lamp?
Jealous! Jealous because I won.
That's ridiculous. Jealous of what? That is the ugliest lamp I have ever seen in my entire life!
Now it was out.
Get the glue.
We're out of glue.
You use up all the glue on purpose.
The old man stood quivering with fury, stammering as he tried to come up with a real crusher. All he got out was,
Not a finger!
Right? Maybe that happens, right? Our gift gets broken, and our only reaction is to freak out, right? We have no idea what to do. We're like, oh my gosh, this is all your fault. The mom in the Christmas story claim, like, it was an accident. We don't really know what happened. But it doesn't matter, right? Our gift is broken. And we start blaming other people. We're really upset. We yell, we scream. There's no way we can be happy anymore, right? Because our gift is broken. We can't be happy because our gift is broken. But maybe perhaps our gift isn't the only thing that's broken in that scenario. All right, for this next thing, I just kind of want to, we're going to do, I don't know about mental exercise is the best way, but I want to describe a scenario, right? Let's pretend you're in a crowded room. There's 50 people in there. 25 of them are on one side of the room and 25 are on the other. And this group of 25 is all blindfolded. They can't see. And this room, it has a bunch of obstacles, tables, chairs, walls. It's just a full room, right? Now, the people on this side who are blindfolded have to make it over to this side. But they have to go to a particular person. They can't just walk over there. They have to find a particular person. Now, the trick is the person on this side of the room that's trying to match up with them, they can talk to them. They can say, hey, watch out, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left, come forward, right? They can communicate with them. But the trick is the person over here, they can't use their name. They can't say, hey, Tim, watch out. Hey, Owen, hey, Cassandra, hey, Katie, hey, Natalie, whatever, right? They can't say that. They just have to talk, right? Now, if you were in that scenario, right, and you're blindfolded, you're over here, and you knew the person's voice, it'd be super easy to get across the room, right? Like if Leanne and I were doing it, even in a crowded room, I could probably pick out Leanne's voice pretty easily. It might take a second. I want to be like crystal clear, but I could listen to it and I'd be able to kind of tune out the other voices. But if it was a complete stranger who was trying to guide you over there, you'd be lost. How am I supposed to know who to listen for? This person's a complete stranger. I don't know their voice. Now think about it on the other end, right? You're the person calling. If it's someone you know really well, you're going to be super, super energetic about it. No. Stop. 2 steps to the left. Come forward. Yeah. But if it's a complete stranger that you're trying to connect with across the room, you're probably going to be like, there's no way he's going to hear me. They don't know my voice. This is silly. And you're just kind of give up, right? Think about those two scenarios, right? So you can be the person blindfolded with a voice you know or a voice you don't know, and then you could be the person calling to a person you know or a person you don't know, and kind of the different outcomes, right? I don't know where you've been the past few weeks with everything that's going on in the world, but I can imagine there's been a lot of feelings of brokenness, a lot of feelings of isolation, because what we're going through now is pretty tough. It's pretty tough, and I'm not going to lie. This coronavirus is scary. It's spreading quickly. We're not sure how it spreads. We're not sure who has it when it's spreading. It can be tough. It can be scary. You can feel alone. You can feel, maybe you feel kind of morbid about it. Maybe you feel this is the end of the world. I'm not really sure. Maybe you feel like you're someone who's blindfolded trying to get across the room and you have no idea who's calling out for you. You're just trying to not run into things. Okay? Maybe that's a very legitimate thought or feeling you've had. Now, going back to that scenario of kind of being in that crowded room being called, I want to bring in Jesus to this, right? Because going through that room blindfolded, having someone call us, it's pretty similar to what Jesus is doing to us every single day. And especially right now in this coronavirus isolation time, it really feels like we're blindfolded, walking through a crowded room, running into things left and right. But even in that, Jesus is across the room calling us. But what's hard is if we don't know what Jesus' voice sounds like, we're going to be running into things left and right, and we're never going to get across the room. If we don't know what Jesus' voice sounds like, how are we going to do it? Now, Jesus' voice isn't some guy standing across the room saying, hey, take 2 steps to the left. Hey, don't look at that. Blah, 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 blah. Come talk to me, right? Maybe maybe sometimes Jesus can be an auditory voice in our life, but a lot of times Jesus talks to us kind of in the heart, in those quiet thoughts. He'll say, hey, come pray with me. Or, hey, you should live stream Mass on Sunday. Or, hey, you should check in on your friend. All these things are maybe how Jesus is talking to us, and that's how his voice sounds like. Right? So where's brokenness come into this? Besides being broken and discouraged about where we are in life with this coronavirus pandemic, we can be broken in a lot of other ways too. Right? So let's look at those obstacles, right? When we run into a chair, trip over a table, hit a wall, whatever, when we're trying to walk across that room, it's a lot like falling into sin, right? Sin is what's broken about us. Now, if we were perfect, we'd be able to listen to Jesus, we'd be able to navigate through, and we'd be able to go straight to him. But we're not, we're humans. And even maybe we hear Jesus' voice saying, hey, take 2 steps to the left. And you're like, nah, I'm going to sit down on this chair anyway, right? That brokenness is sin. That brokenness is sin. So in our brokenness, Jesus still calls us, right? Even though we trip over the chair, even though we just decide to run into the wall anyway, like Jesus is still there calling us. But every time we trip, every time we fall, every time we do whatever in that room, it hurts us. You know, we could stub our toe, hit our shin, fall, hurt our wrist, something like that, right? And it hurts us. It makes us more broken trying to get across that room. But Jesus' voice still calls. His voice is constant. So my question to you is, are you able to hear God's voice? First off, that's the first question. Are you able to hear God's voice? Do you know what it sounds like? And second off, how are you doing in that brokenness? How are you doing in that sin? How are you doing in those obstacles? Now, I'm not saying everyone should be perfect and be able to navigate their way without a problem. Because it is difficult, and we are sinners, we are human. But do we take the time to recognize our brokenness? Or do we trip over a chair and say, hey, that was kind of fun, stand back up and trip over it again? Get more broken, stay further away from Jesus, and continue to not listen to his voice. Right? Now, this is an analogy, so it's going to fall short in some way. I'm sure Kirk is thinking of like 10 ways he can be like, yeah, but it's a rolly chair, so I'm going to roll to Jesus. I don't know. But it's an analogy. You guys got to remember that. But the point is, our sin is our brokenness, right? So when we're in our brokenness, when we're in sin, we have 2 choices. One, we can continue to stay in brokenness, or we can try to fix ourselves, right? We don't like being broken. Who likes being hurt? Who likes being sick? Right? We want to get better. We want to be unbroken. But the problem is, as humans, a lot of times we fall into brokenness and we look to be healed through more brokenness. We're in sin and we know it's a sin. We know we're not happy, but we still choose to do it because we're like, maybe it'll make me happy this time. But in reality, it doesn't. It continues to break us. The problem is, as humans, in our brokenness, we often look to more brokenness and expect us to be fixed. How can, as humans, as broken, sinful humans, we expect something broken to fix us? Right? If we're broken and we want to be fixed, we have to go to something unbroken to fix us. We have to go to something unbroken to fix us. And that unbroken thing is God. That unbroken person is Jesus Christ across the room calling us. Right? We can't expect to fix our brokenness and more brokenness. We can't expect to conquer sin by continuing to live in sin. We have to be able to recognize Jesus' voice in our life. Now, it's not an easy task, and in fact, I'm not expecting you to walk away from this YouTube video and be like, yeah, cool. I know exactly how to do it, because it's a lifelong task, right? It's a lifelong task to be able to do that, to be able to go and fix our brokenness in something unbroken. So we have to remember that. It's a lifelong task, right? But it's every day we wake up and we choose to put our brokenness in God's unbrokenness. Every day we have to choose to put our brokenness in God's unbrokenness. And when we do that consistently, sin gets easier to conquer. We're able to hear God's voice, hear Jesus' voice across the room calling us more clearly. and we're able to live our life more fully. So right now, wherever you are, in this coronavirus pandemic, in this crazy world we're living in right now, we're not sure when we're going back to school. We're not sure when we're going back to youth ministry. We're not sure if we have coronavirus. We're not sure of a lot of things right now. There's a lot of unknown, and there's a lot of brokenness in the world. And that can break us. That can hurt us. But I'm asking you guys, my challenge for you guys is to wake up every day over this next period of time, however long, and try to put your brokenness, your woundedness, your sinfulness into God's unbrokenness and watch what he can do with it. Because God can do great things with it. God will do great things with it, but only if you let him.
Broken. Our whole lives written over and blacked out. Trashed from nights out in ways we destroy hope. There must be something else. How did we get here? It didn't start with the party or the drink, but we wound up here. Fell asleep on a stale beer dance floor alone, but the known illness was gluttony. So much we give to excess to express a certain self-loathing. Broken. Finding ourselves in food or the absence thereof, hating the mere image we see clearly, we whisper, "This isn't the real me." We've burned into our mind that our life is a lie, like the lines and tracks from broken needles as they run up our arm. What harm can one hit do now? Life feels like white lines and white lies, and cigarette burns on a paper heart, and nights spent like thousands of dollars, material medicine to placate this emptiness inside. We can't hide the ways we've tried to escape. Thinking my worth could be equated to a number, we make ourselves a commodity, humans bought and sold digitally. Our hearts are given to a million different pictures of perfection and beauty and sexuality, where Google can return a response to our loneliness. Because we know some friends are fake. No give and take in digital relationships. We know how the feeling shifts behind our back, and it starts with an image that we make. Inside we're screaming, "What you see is fake." But we smile instead, calm the voice in our head, add a layer of lipstick and sigh. There are a million sets of filters that can hide. Broken. And choking beneath layers of powder and hours of how-to videos, with a perfect contour we can carve a smile out of these faces of stone. Because we know what people say behind our back, and the message that acts as a knife, "You are worthless." Sweep into thoughts of suicide, we can no longer stem the tide of mental illness, rushing over like waves that break levees and flood lives. Our words are the most destructive lies because we are the ones that know how to cut. Better than any friend or foe, we know our weaknesses and every flaw. Each word a whip across our back and a slash to you. You were broken. Each wound on your body bleeds. Sacred blood falling from a tree that we could be redeemed. Beyond the ways we've destroyed dignity and beyond every explosive word, every lie spoken or unheard, every drunk night and poor decision with mixed in addiction, this life that we've been living broken, you've been underneath it all. Your grace, a light, transforming us from the inside out, revealing the true self. You were there that night. You were there waiting to shatter darkness with grace. How did you get here? You've always been here, in this place, your face waiting to make us new. We caused the wounds that require death's toll, but you bled for us, broken, so that we could be made whole.
That video is really powerful. And I think it was probably better to just show that than even give a talk. Because I think that really hits home, right? Jesus is under it all. Jesus is under that sin. He's across that room calling out. But the most important thing is, as human beings, we can't put our unbrokenness in more unbrokenness and expect it to be fixed, right? We have to put Sorry, I said that backwards. We can't put our brokenness into more brokenness and expect it to be fixed. We have to put our brokenness into unbrokenness. That's the only way it's going to fix us. Jesus is there. He's underneath it all. He's across the room calling you. He wants you to follow him. So in this time, this period of quarantine, social distancing, it's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity for you guys to fall back onto Jesus, to rid yourself of those top layers, to walk across the room, to listen to Jesus' voice, because he's there and he's calling. He desires you, he loves you, and he wants you. It's a beautiful opportunity we have over the next week, even in all the unknown, even in the brokenness, to rely fully on Jesus. So now we're going to go ahead and transition to some journaling time, right? So this would be a time to kind of, move your computer, pull out some pens and paper, whatever it takes. I think there's 4 questions. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes per question, 2 to 3 minutes per question. I'm not going to read them. I'm going to play some music on in the background. They'll go up on the screen, and I'll have you guys give you some time to kind of write your thoughts on it. I'll read the question, and I'll give you one. There's like 30 seconds. After that, we'll move to praise and worship with Phill.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me.
All right, so the first question for you guys to journal, 2 or 3 minutes on this question. How have you been broken in the past few weeks? How have all the cancellations and social distancing impacted your heart?
Still you give yourself away.
Sorry about that phone call that came in. Moving on to the second question. Have there been other factors adding to our brokenness? Sin, addiction, poor choices, self-isolation. And I mean the self-isolation in the bad sense of not communicating with our friends, ignoring them, things like that. Not actually being alone, because that's what we're supposed to be doing for health.
All the poor and powerless, and all the lost and lonely, and all the thieves will come confess and know that you are holy, and know that you are holy. And all will sing out hallelujah, and we will cry out hallelujah.
All right, moving on to question number 3. Have you been talking to Jesus about your brokenness lately? Question number 3. Have you been talking to Jesus about your brokenness lately?
And all who feel unworthy, and all who hurt with nothing left, will know that you are holy, and all will sing out hallelujah, and we will
All right, our last question. How do you plan to let God fix your brokenness? Oops, I'll fix that typo. How do you plan to let God fix your brokenness? Be concrete. Write down goals. Give you guys about 30 more seconds to finish that one up.
The fountain I drink from, oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good.
All right, so we are going to transition to praise and worship now. Phill, in just a few seconds, is going to be leading us. We should have lyrics up on the bottom of the screen, and he's got a couple songs planned for us. Hopefully all goes well. This is kind of the biggest technology jump of the night, but I'm going to send it over to Phill.
Hey guys, I hope you can see me and hear me. I'm coming to you live from my sunroom to this YouTube live stream. So yeah, I hope, like Tim said, all goes well, that we don't lose any kind of connection. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So if you join me in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, tonight we invite you to give us the grace to invite you into our brokenness. And we also ask that you give us the grace tonight for us to invite you, and for us to be willing to listen to your invitation, to hear you calling us, to say, come to me who are broken. Might we come to you, and might we let you come into us and heal the parts of us that are broken. Come, my sadness, from wherever you've been. Come, broken hearted, where rescue begin.
Come find your mercy, the sinner come kneel. Earth has no sorrow, and heaven can heal. Earth has no sorrow, and heaven can heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. There's hope for the hopeless and all those who've strayed. Come sit at the table, come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can cure. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can cure. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. Fall in his arms. Come as you are. There's joy for the morning. O sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can heal. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whispers of love in the dead of the night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you can provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's a love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. In the washing wind, would you breathe within my heart? through the raging storm. Would you hold me in your arms? 'Cause I need you. How I need you. I need your love like I need water. I need your love like I need breath inside my lungs, burning my heart just like a fire. Come and pull me over. Jesus, draw me closer to your arms. Through the wind and rain, when you hear you calling me. When the nights get rough, I can still sing out your praise. 'Cause I need you. Now I need you. I need your love like I need water. I need your love like I need breath inside my lungs, burning my heart just like a fire. Jesus, draw me over. Jesus, draw me closer to your heart, to your heart, to your heart. Closer than my every breath, closer than my every step, closer than the song I sing, closer than anything, closer than my every breath, closer than my every step, closer than the song I sing, closer than anything. I need your love like I need water. I need your love like I need breath inside my lungs, burning my heart just like a fire. Come and take me over. Jesus, draw me closer. I need your love like I need water. I need your love like I need breath inside my lungs, burning my heart just like a fire. Come and take me over. Jesus, draw me closer to your heart. Jesus, we know you call us into this, call us in this time to run to you, to seek you, to find you in our brokenness. We're not going to find any kind of peace, any kind of solitude, any kind of saving grace in diving deeper into more brokenness. This time of isolation doesn't have to be so isolating emotionally or mentally. We know you call us to your heart. So we pray that you can give us the grace to run to you. I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now, I laid it down, and I know that I need you. Run to the Father, fall into grace. Done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Whoa, 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 and again and again. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. And I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend, and I know it's I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 and again and again. Oh, 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 my heart has been in your sights long before my first breath, running into your arms is running to life from death. And I feel its rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out. Just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. I run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, the reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 and again and again. Oh, 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 Jesus Christ. Thank you guys for praying with me. Tim, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap up our Life Night tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. It's weird to sit on your laptop or phone, wherever you are at home, and to pray and try to enter into this community, but we're here. We're doing it. I'd love your feedback. Feel free to text me. Let me know, hey, this went well, this didn't go well. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect show, but it's what we got. So as we move forward, just a couple announcements. I want to be youth ministry without announcements. So our plan right now, this is not set in stone, but our plan right now is to do these on Sundays, do these live Life Nights on Sundays through YouTube. And then on Thursdays, we might, and I put this in the group me, but just so people know, we'll probably switch off between things like this, maybe like another Life Night programming night for Thursday nights, as well as there's another app out there called Zoom, which is kind of like a big group Skype type thing. So we can do that for small groups, for Group Lexio. And then another thing that Father Philip recommended that I'd love your feedback on, text me, put it in the group message, is maybe in this time of lots of freedom, lots of free time, is that once a week, maybe just a random time, Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, whatever, we all get on Zoom and we just pray a rosary together. Or Wednesday nights we pray night prayer together, something like that. So on top of Sundays and Thursdays right now, we can think about adding maybe another group prayer, 15, 20 minutes a week. That's super simple, super easy. And that's kind of going to be our plan going forward. Sundays will be here. Thursdays we're going to be here /Zoom, and then looking to add in another type of prayer throughout the week. I miss you all. I hope you are all doing great. Please continue to shoot me text. Let me know how you're doing. If you have funny stories, that's cool. Let me know. Stay away from Katie Leaker. She just came back from Florida. We will see you next Thursday, or this Thursday at the soonest, and we'll be communicating through the group message. Peace, guys.